Black people were chasing sheep then. The Chinese man was chasing sheep then. While we were, living in an ancient civilization, mature and ancient. Why? Because we discovered how to fully awaken the brain. Let me explain to you something. Sound is the key. You see? Every part of your brain responds to sound. Go back to your books on psychobiology. You find there's a brain stem, right? The brain stem deals with your arousal and your awakening. It's a conduit to wake up the brain. It is called the serpent brain, the reticular complex or the serpent brain. Listen carefully now, right? That is why, you see, in ancient Egypt, the father of the gods and of all humans is represented by a serpent around the sun, Ra. That's why in Black India, the key to all liberation is the awakening of the serpent power, Kundalini, within you. That's why among the Dahomians, you see, the key to all ritual and power is the arousal of Dambadawedo. The symbol is the serpent. You see, the serpent of wisdom. Because there's a serpent brain in the back of your stem. This little part in your brain here corresponds to, it's a small part of your brain, but it makes up 98% of the brain in reptiles. You with me? That part of the brain is the most primitive part of your brain. It controls the major part of your emotional behavior. And that part of the brain, if you ever try to talk and train a reptile, if you ever have a snake pet or a lizard pet and try to train it, you find you can't train it. You with me? Because the reptile brain within you does not respond to words. It responds to sounds. Your ancestors worked out the science of how to use sound to awaken all the structures of the brain. What I'm saying to you is that we don't have to wait for white people to share knowledge with us. We don't have to wait for white people to give us anything. We have the keys that our ancestors used to create the ancient civilizations. And we can recreate civilization once more again. Because, you see, the great prophet of Egypt understood that nothing moves in a straight line. Everything moves this way. Everything is cyclical. Everything, human beings, nations, everything, you see, is born, waxes, matures, has its splendor, its day in the sun, and then now loses its vital force and then goes down and dies to be reborn again. People say, if Egypt was so great, how come it was destroyed? You see, there's a day that will come that this boy will walk up to Mike Tyson and whoop him. You know what I'm talking about? There's a day that Mike Tyson will be a little decrepit old man. You see? And this little girl too can whoop him. Every nation comes, waxes and so forth. So the ancient Egyptians, they saw that their nation, before I'm saying, will die one day. So they built what they call houses of eternities. The great pyramids and the great temples, and they buried as much as they could with the dead. You see, in all kinds of secret passages, in stone, the mountains, and things of that nature. Why? Because they knew that they too, as a nation, will be reborn sometime in the future. You with me? You may not understand it yet. You may not have the courage to say it yet, but I tell you verily that you are the ancient Egyptians who have come back. You understand what I'm saying to you? Your weapon is the weapon of the Spirit. You have to believe in spiritual power. That is a great lesson of Nelson Mandela. Without a Krugerrand to his name, without a gun in his hand, he was saying they could have snuffed his life out at any time, but they feared him. They feared his spirit. For 27 years he defied them, and they had to let him go. All he had in that jail was the spirit. Whatever was it that he learned in his rites of passage as a young boy, he said, is what defeated the whites of South Africa. And I want to tell you something. You see, it was not the white man who killed Hani. Yes, a white man pulled the trigger, but it was not the white man who killed Hani. It was the ancestors. You see? Because you're going to find out that before this year is ended, that there's going to be some dramatic changes in South Africa because of the death of Hani. You see? See, Hani was holding on to the youth, containing them. He had to be moved out of the way by the ancestors. Let the youth go. The ancestors were the vehicle, the vessel that said this has to change. You know what I'm saying? Mandela right now is also holding on to the youth. But it is too late. So, let us have a little understanding of who we are and the powers within us. And by the way, every single one of these faculties, right, has a word of power. Take, for instance, the second sphere, the cool. You see? The cool part of the spirit, which is the wisdom part of the spirit, will allow you to solve any problem that is in front of you. For example, how to liberate yourself. If your cool was awakened, you will intuitively find the right strategy. You with me? You can awaken that power by chanting the word hum in a state of trance. H-U-N-G, hum. You see? And you don't have to pay TM for these words of powers. We gave it to them, and we are reclaiming them. They are free. They belong to God. Let no man, no woman sell these words of powers. You see? Some people might say, well, but you also gave it to the white man. Forget it. He can wield these words of powers. Because you see, before you can wield these words of powers, you have to cross the fourth sphere. You have to be justified in truth. And he is not. So you see, we can spread out the wisdom in front of our enemies. And they cannot use it against us because, you see, their heart does not belong to them. He said you can verify this teaching in the Peratim Heru. You see? To wield the words of power, you must live truth, you must be justified in Ma'at. Pure and simple. Now that we understand ourselves, let us understand our enemy. Your enemy, our enemy, has not risen above the Sahu part of the sphere. The eighth sphere, Sebek, you see, is his master strategist. The eighth sphere is the symbol processing faculty, the myth-making faculty. You see, he weaves the illusion of power. You see, with clever words. His greatest weapon is cleverness. Ho Chi Minh saw through that, said, "You're a paper tiger," and defeated him. You see, he said to you, you follow what I'm saying, wealth is in money. You see, what is money, first of all? Before we explain what money is, let's understand how money is generated in this world. You know how you get money, right? You work for it, right? Well, some of you hold up people for it.